What's going on, everybody? Here we are back with our Week 15 NFL Pick'em video. Can't believe there's only 4 weeks left in the regular season. If you're new to the channel, so far we are 145 and 62 with our picks on the season, going 9 and 5 last week. In what was a tough week to predict, so I will definitely take 9 and 5 last week. If you are new to the channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We've been on a heater all season long with the picks, and you don't want to miss out. Let's jump into this week's picks. Starting off with Thursday night football. Tonight we have the Falcons playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa in an important game for the Buccaneers after they're coming off that tough loss to the New Orleans Saints last week. So that puts them tied at the top of the division with the Carolina Panthers at 7 and 6, and they do play the Panthers twice down the stretch. So very important game for the Buccaneers, a very important get-right game before those end-of-season real telltale matches against the Panthers on who's going to make the playoffs and who's not going to make the playoffs. So very important to the Buccaneers that they have a good game this week and go into those games feeling a little bit better than they do today. Bucs have really struggled the second half of the season. They looked really good early and have looked pretty poor as of late. And that's honestly a lot to do with Baker Mayfield, who's been struggling a lot recently. If you guys have watched my videos, I've repped a Baker jersey. I do like Baker Mayfield, but he just hasn't been what we all kind of expected him to be this season in this second half of the season. I think a lot of that does have to do with the injuries to the Buccaneers on offense. Notably in this game, Tristan Wirfs, starting left tackle, Pro Bowl talent left tackle, will be back for the first time in a while. That's going to be huge for Baker on his blind side. And it is also rumored that Mike Evans may be playing tonight. Todd Bowles came out and said that he hasn't lost a step. He looks fresh in practice, so I would love to see Mike Evans on the field, and those things will definitely help Baker Mayfield. Going up against a Falcons team that has been kind of the opposite, have just really struggled all year long, and are continuing to trend downward as we get closer to the end of the season. As we all know, Kirk Cousins is starting for the Falcons, and with him under center, they've just really struggled to throw the ball downfield. And I think the only way that you beat these Buccaneers, if you are the Falcons, is with some explosive plays, which the Falcons have really, really lacked, especially since Kirk has taken over. Teams have been able to hone in on the run. Bijan, Algier, those guys are really good. But when teams just put all of their assets into defending them, and you can't do much with the quarterback, it's hard to win games, which is why we are picking the Buccaneers to win Thursday Night Football in a very important match for the NFC South. Next up, we got the Browns at the Bears. And let's start off with the Browns offense, of all things to talk about. Shedeur Sanders, you can see him on the screen there, has looked pretty good, actually, since taking over as a starter. Last week, he threw for over 350 yards in a loss against the Titans. Despite Shadeur's good effort, the defense did not hold up last week, especially gave up some big runs to Tony Pollard and that Titans offense that's really struggled all season long. So it's kind of an interesting game for the Browns, one that we haven't seen yet this season, which is one where we can blame the defense for the loss rather than the offense. Going into this matchup, they're playing a Bears team who's coming off a tough loss against my Green Bay Packers, a really important one for the Packers and the Bears, I guess. But the Bears are coming off a loss in one where they just didn't look quite right offensively. They ran the ball well. They struggled to throw the ball. And I do think if there's anything that they can do well this week, it's going to be run the ball. That's kind of been the identity of the Chicago Bears over the second half of this season. And they're going up against the Browns, who just gave up piles of rushing yards on the ground to Tony Pollard and these Titans last week. So I do think the Bears are going to have some success running the football. I don't remember exactly what the line is here for this game. I think the line is like 7.5 points or something like that. I don't think it's actually going to be quite as one-sided as people think. I think the Browns defense is going to play really well against the pass with the Bears, defend the run similarly to how the Packers did last week, and the Browns offense is looking better as well. In this game, we will be picking the Bears. It's a cold game. It's a windy game. If there's a team that wins those games, it's typically the team that runs the ball, and the Bears are going to have success running the ball against the Browns on Sunday. Bears get the win at home. Next up, we got a good one. We've got a divisional matchup between the Ravens and the Bengals. Bengals have been playing well as of late. They did lose to the Bills last week, but just a couple weeks ago, these two teams played on Thanksgiving, and the Bengals whooped them 32-14. Now, in this game, the Ravens are favorites, and this is just kind of giving me flashbacks to when the Panthers and the Saints played. So the Saints shut out their, or actually, the Falcons and the Panthers. Sorry, the Panthers shut out the Falcons early in the season. I think it was like 30-0. They got back to their second matchup, and the Falcons were favored to win the game. Now, it is hard to beat a team twice, but it's also hard to get blown out by a team and then come back and beat them next week. And that's the exact same situation in this one, where the Bengals are underdogs after winning by 3 scores just 2 weeks ago. So I don't think it's going to be a 3-score game. However, I'm just having a lot of I'm having a hard time trying to figure out why the Ravens are the favorite in this game in a season where they've really struggled all year long. They're trending downward offensively. Lamar's been immobile and unable to kind of make those same game-changing plays we've known him to make on offense. And this Ravens defense has really struggled against the pass, which is where the Bengals excel, is with their passing game. So this is one where I'm going to pick Cincinnati. They are underdogs. They're at home. But Cincinnati has a little bit of swagger going for them since Burrow has come back. And they just whooped on these guys a couple weeks ago, and nothing has really changed since then. We are picking the Bengals to get the home upset over the Ravens. Next up, we got the Chargers at the Chiefs. For the Chargers, coming off a Monday Night Football win against the Eagles, where Justin Herbert was playing with a broken hand and the defense forced 5 Jalen Hurts turnovers. Now, Mahomes is not going to do that exact same thing this week. You're not going to get 5 gifts from Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, so the Chargers will have to play much better if they want to win this matchup. And going over to Justin Herbert, I definitely think that hand injury played a factor in how he played last week. He was clearly protecting it when going down. He looked a little bit slower to release the ball. If you guys have understand, it's just harder to throw the ball fast, quick draw, get rid of it, get out of your hands quickly when you're really only working with one strong hand. So he did a great job last week and got the win, which is all that really matters. But I do think we might be able to see some weaknesses from that hand in this one. I know there was a fumble forced because of that broken hand last week. So I'm very happy to see Herbert out there grinding, gritting it out. But I am worried that that could cause some issues going up against a Chiefs team that is in do or die mode. They are coming off a tough loss against the Texans that doesn't statistically eliminate them from playoff contention, but it's going to make it really, really tough. And this is a must-win game for the Chiefs. And you could even argue must-win for the Chargers as well. But there is a couple games down the stretch that they could win. Anyways, on this game, I have to pick the Chiefs. It's do or die. It's an Arrowhead. It's Patrick Mahomes versus Justin Herbert. Patrick Mahomes is going to get the win in their second matchup of this series in this season. I've got the Chiefs taking this one home. Next up, we got the Bills at the New England Patriots. And this is going to be a fun one to watch for the AFC North. The new leaders of the North, the Patriots, have taken over this season after the Bills have dominated the North ever since the Tom Brady era. And interestingly enough, in this game, the Bills are road favorites despite the Patriots being 11-2. And the last time these two teams played, the Patriots won on the road. So another kind of interesting game with where the line is set from Vegas. No matter what we all think, they are the smarter ones. So they probably know something that we don't, but the Patriots are hot. They won this past matchup. And Drake May in this passing game for the Patriots has been absolutely elite this season. I expect them to really let it rip this week against a Bills secondary that has struggled pretty much all season. And the Patriots on offense as well, their run game has looked pretty solid as of late, especially with the emergence of Travion Henderson. He's looked really good over the second half of the season. So this Patriots offense has been red hot and really tough to stop. Now, for the Bills on offense, I would like to see them get a little bit more balanced again. When James Cook has dominant games, these guys win a lot of the time. And you can really say that about any team, which is why it's just very important for the Bills to get to a balanced offense. I know it runs through Josh Allen, but there isn't so many star receivers on this Bills team where if you force them into passing situations, it can be much, much tougher for them to go out there and make a play without having that kind of X stud receiver. In this game, I worry about the Bills secondary and their ability to slow down the Drake May Patriots and their offensive attack in this one, which is why I'm taking the Patriots to be home underdogs and get the upset against the Bills in one where they are going to cement themselves as Super Bowl contenders. I just can't bet against how good the Patriots have been right now, especially going up against a Bills secondary that's struggling. We're riding with the Patriots in this one. Next up, I got the Commanders at the Giants. Starting with the Commanders, they've lost 8 games in a row. They just got shut out 31-0 against the Vikings. They look awful. They're struggling on both sides of the ball. They brought Jaden Daniels to start last week. He played for a little bit, and then they pulled him out and sat him for the remainder of the game. And we've got Marcus Mariota coming back to start again this week. And it wouldn't be surprising if we see him for the remainder of the season because the Commanders are out of it. They are eliminated from playoff contention, so there is no point in injuring your franchise QB. 8 losses in a row for the Commanders, all you really got to know. For the Giants, 7 losses in a row. So who do you want to pick in this one? We're picking the team that has played 7 straight playoff teams, and that is the New York Giants. Commanders are far worse than what the Giants have been able to compete against recently, even though they haven't won in 8 games. Even though the Giants haven't won in 7 games. I just think they're the better football team. They've been playing better competition, and Jackson Dart and the Giants are going to go and get the win at home on Sunday. Next up, we got the Raiders at the Eagles. And starting off with the Eagles, they're coming off a tough loss against the Chargers, where Jalen Hurts turned the ball over 5 times, 2 of those turnovers being in just 1 play. They haven't looked right all year, but they are still a playoff team. They're still a contender. And for the Raiders, they've been awful all season long. Their offense is absolutely terrible behind the worst offensive line in the NFL, with arguably one of the worst QBs in the NFL so far this season, Geno Smith. But that won't matter because Kenny Pickett will be taking over for the Raiders this week. Either way, I don't care who's playing quarterback. The Eagles are going to win this game easily. The Raiders are just a terrible football team right now. And despite the Eagles' struggles, they're still a playoff team. Philly wins this one. Next up, we got the Jets at the Jaguars. And starting off with the Jets, we don't know who's going to be in at quarterback. We've got Tyrod Taylor up on the screen there, but it also might be Brady Cook in this one. And either way, they're going to really struggle to throw the ball as they have all season. Jets want to run the ball, and this week they are playing the number 1 defense in rushing yards allowed per game in the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just don't see the Jets having a ton of success offensively. I do see the Jaguars winning this game pretty easily. They're the far better football team. They match up really well against the Jets in shutting the Jets' run game down with their defense. And the Jags are at home. The Jaguars are going to win this game. Next up, we got the Cardinals at the Texans. And starting off with the Texans, they've been playing really well as of late, winning 5 games in a row. Their defense is just really, really good. Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, Stingley, Petrie, those dudes are all playing out of their minds right now. And they have played 4 really good teams, or I shouldn't say that, 3 out of the last 4 games have been against good teams in the Chiefs, Bills, Colts, and Titans. And the Texans' defense has allowed just 14.5 points in those games. And even on the offensive side of the ball for the Texans, it's looking much better as of late. The offensive line's done better in pass protection for Stroud. They've run blocked better. So this team as a whole is on the up. And they are going against a team as a whole that is on the down in the Arizona Cardinals that are 3-10 on the season. They've competed in a lot more games than maybe their record shows. But at the end of the day, they haven't been able to get wins. And the Cardinals are just the far worse football team. The Texans are going to absolutely dominate this game defensively. They might not score more than 17 or 20 points, but they won't need to after they've been averaging 14.5 for the last 4. Texans win this game at home. Next up, we got my Green Bay Packers versus the Denver Broncos. I think this is everybody's game of the week. We did say that about the Packers last week. I might be a little bit biased, but It is the number 1 seed in the AFC going up against the number 2 seed in the NFC in a potential Super Bowl preview. You never know. You never know. I don't think anybody expected Bo Nix, Jordan Love to be the Super Bowl quarterback matchup, but we very well might have that on our hands. In this game, what I and everybody else will be watching for is the matchup between Jordan Love, this Packers offense, and this elite Broncos defense. Now, of course, what the Packers do on defense and the Broncos do on offense is going to matter, but this is what everybody's watching. The Packers offense has been slinging it. They've been hot. Jay Love's playing out of his mind, and this Broncos defense has been a immovable object, and the Packers are that unstoppable force. We're interested to see what's going to happen on Sunday. Starting with the Packers offense, Jordan Love looking really, really good all season, especially as of late. The offense is just looking really tough to stop, and for the Packers, they've been a little more balanced with Josh Jacobs as he's gotten healthy over the last couple of weeks. And that's going to be very important going up against the Broncos, who absolutely feast on teams that can't run the ball, specifically with that pass rush. It's just elite from Denver. And that's the Packers' greatest weakness offensively is pass protection. So that's definitely going to be something that's not going to work in the Packers' favor, is trying to defend against that elite pass rush team. For the Broncos offensively, I do think that they have had some success, but they've also had a lot of inconsistencies. And we've kind of said that all year about Bo Nix, but this defense has done enough to kind of mask those inconsistencies. This week, they're playing a really good offense with the Packers, but the Packers also have a really good defense, and I don't think they're talked about enough. When you get into passing downs and Micah and Rashawn Gary and the rest of this defense can tee off and feast on you, it's really hard to move the ball against the Packers. And the Broncos have struggled to run the ball all season long and stay ahead of the chains, although RJ Harvey did have a good game last week. What I expect to happen in this game is a defensive battle, one in which Jordan Love makes a couple big plays to someone like Dontavian Wicks, someone who flies under the radar, and he goes out, he makes a couple big passes, couple big touchdowns, and we see a couple Bo Nix errors, whether that's a sack on a critical down, an interception, a strip sack, something like that, where the Packers defense combined with a Jordan Love play wins this game in one that I'm really excited to watch. This is going to be a great game. Packers on the road in Denver. We've got the Packers winning this one. Next up, we've got the Lions at the Rams. Starting off with Los Angeles, they're coming off a brutal loss to the Carolina Panthers, and just not one that they expected to lose. I didn't really even see a path to losing for them, but things happen in the NFL every single day, so no game is ever a guarantee. And the Lions are coming off of a dominant win over the Cowboys, one in where their offense looked really, really good. Starting off with the Rams, right now they absolutely have the best offense in the NFL. Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, those guys have been just unstoppable. Unstoppable. They've even run the ball well with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum here and there. So this Rams offense has been absolutely elite. Now this Rams defense has also played pretty well most weeks, and they're going to have to this week in one where I don't think they want this to be a shutout. I think the Rams want to play a little bit more ball control than they have in the past, especially against teams like the Lions that have these high-flying offenses. And the Lions have had their ups and downs over the last 4 or 5 weeks, but they are absolutely still an elite football team. I hear people talking about the Lions aren't good enough to make the playoffs. The Lions aren't contenders even if they make the playoffs. All of that is not true. The Lions are one of the best teams in football, and they've had a couple bad beats so far this season. When the Lions can control the game through Jahmyr Gibbs, whether that's through the run or the pass, they win a lot of football games. I think they can control the game offensively with Jahmyr Gibbs, but my concerns in this one is from Detroit's secondary on defense. Some really, really key injuries. Brian Branch and Terrion Arnold are both out for season, and Kirby Joseph is also out potentially for the season as well. And those guys are all absolute studs in that Detroit secondary, so it's going to be really tough for them with a bunch of backups to cover Puka, Devontae, and Stafford in this elite passing attack. Without those injuries, I think I could lean towards the Lions in this one, but I just can't trust that Lions secondary against the Rams offense. That is number 1 in the league right now. We're picking the Rams to get the win at home. Next up, we got the Panthers at the Saints. And so these teams played in week 10, and the Saints actually won 17-7. Couple things happened in that game. Tyler Shuck had his best game of the season, and Rico Dowdle struggled mightily. Probably his worst game since kind of taking over that backfield. So the Saints really attacked the Panthers' run game in that one. And this week, I think the Panthers are going to expect that and be ready for some counters throwing the ball. And they've looked a lot better throwing the ball as of late. Bryce Young has played a lot better as of late as well. And in this one, I just don't see this being the same outcome that we saw a few weeks ago. I think the Panthers are the better football team, and they've opened things up offensively with Bryce Young a little bit. So the Panthers are going to get the win in this one, where we see Tyler Shuck regress from what we saw in this past matchup, and Bryce Young have a little bit better performance this time out. Panthers get the win on the road in New Orleans. Next up, we got the Titans at the 49ers. And, in this one, the 49ers have really quietly played good football all season long. They're 9-4, they're 6th in the NFC. They've had some pretty key injuries all season long. So I think these guys are happy to be where they're at this point in the season. Now the Titans, on the other hand, cannot be happy to be where they are at because they are 2-11 on the season, have really, really struggled. And the only teams that they have beat is the Cardinals and then their game last week, drawing a blank against whoever they played last week. I know the Titans won. The Browns. So the Titans have only beaten the Cardinals and the Browns this season, and they're playing the 49ers, who've been sneakily good all season long. Titans have improved over the last few weeks, but I just think they're outmanned in this one. Line is 12.5. I do think it could be a little bit closer than that, but I just have all the confidence that the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan get the win here. It might be by 2, it might be by 10, it might be by 15, but the 49ers are going to get the win at home against the Titans. Next up, Colts at the Seahawks. And starting off with the Colts, we got the big news of the Phillip Rivers signing, the 44-year-old, the grandpa, the high school football coach. He's coming out of retirement to play for Indianapolis and maybe make a playoff or potentially even a Super Bowl run. Not sure who's going to be playing quarterback this week for the Colts. It's highly unlikely it's going to be Rivers. However, Riley Leonard is injured. Not exactly sure if we're going to be seeing him this week. If he misses, I expect that Bryce Rippin will play. But who knows? Maybe we see Phillip Rivers at some point this season. As early as this week, I'd be surprised, but maybe even next week. Either way, Indianapolis leans on that run game. And in this matchup, it's going to be really tough for them to run the ball against Seattle's run defense. That's really, really good. Seattle's allowing the 4th least rushing yards per game to opposing offenses. So I don't see the Colts matching up well in this one. Seattle's offense has been really, really good all season. The Colts defense has started to struggle a little bit as of late. The line for this game is 14 points, 14 and a half, something like that. I do think Seattle wins easily, but I just think this line is too big. I don't think they're going to cover 14 points. That's an absolute pile. But we're just making our pick on who will win the game, and it's absolutely going to be the Seahawks. Next up, we got the Vikings at the Cowboys in Sunday Night Football in Dallas. For the Vikings, they finally got the win last week. They beat the Commanders 31-0, and their defense looked really, really great. J.J. McCarthy finally showed a little bit of something, but let's not give the credit for those 31 points to him. It was short fields, it was turnovers, it was a really good performance from that defense against the Commanders team that has really, really struggled. So a bright spot for the Vikings. For the Cowboys, they are coming off a tough loss to the Lions last week, one in which their defense really just got picked apart, not just with the run, not just with the pass, not through the receivers, not just through the running backs. It was everything. The Cowboys just got exposed against the Lions last week. And for the Cowboys offensively, their passing attack continues to look really, really good no matter who they're playing. And in this matchup, the Vikings can't throw the ball downfield. The Cowboys passing attack is elite. Both these teams defend against the run pretty well. Cowboys struggle a little against the pass. Vikings are a little better against the pass. But the Cowboys are a far better football team than the Vikings. I don't know how this line is only 5.5 points. I think the Cowboys blow out the Vikings at home on Sunday night, and they get the win over the Vikings. Lastly, we have the Dolphins at the Pittsburgh Steelers in a Monday Night Football matchup. And I definitely think this could be an interesting game. The Dolphins are an unpredictable team, a team that's always hard to pick. They've won 5 of their last 6 games. but have played some really weak competition. So this is a tough one to pick for the Dolphins. Their offense has had some success, especially getting guys outside to the perimeter, running the ball outside the tackles with Devon Achane. Just getting this speed that they have on that offense in open field has been a big strength for the Dolphins. And for the Steelers defense, that's where they really struggle most, is against the screens, against the outside rushing attack, against the quick passes. They just don't have the speed on that Pittsburgh Steelers defense to keep up with that kind of stuff. The Steelers offense that runs through DK Metcalf, and when he doesn't have a good game, the Steelers offense sucks. And they just don't have anyone to go to other than him at the end of the day. And in this matchup, I think some crazy things could happen, but the one thing I do trust more than the other is Aaron Rodgers more than Tua Tagovailoa. And I will just wait for Tua to make some mistakes under pressure from the Steelers pass rush, whether that's throwing a pick, taking a big sack in an important situation. Tua really struggles under pressure, and the Steelers are going to send it this week. It's just a matter of if the Steelers can deal with that speed out in space. I think this is going to be a really tight game. I think it's going to be back and forth. I think it's going to be one in which Tua might even just bail out the Steelers at the end of the game and throw a bad interception that leads to a touchdown or something like that. We're picking the Steelers to get the win at home. I think this game is genuinely a coin flip. If I had one to pick that I just needed to steal a game on the field, I'd be picking the Dolphins. But we are going with the Steelers to get the win Monday Night Football at home. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the picks. If you have made it this long, thank you so much. Drop a comment below just saying so. I don't even know if anyone's watching these videos to the end. So if you are, I love you. I appreciate you. Hope to see you back next week. And don't fade the picks. Good luck.